Good evening and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Around 50% of you watching this right now aren't subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button and keep up to date with the action. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and most importantly, if you would like to join the debate with the page that you are currently watching on mute, simply click on the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are, however, a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. If you are ejected, please don't try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. You will be warmly welcome back on the next stream. In the next couple of moments, I'm going to transition across to my photographs so I can share the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter. And I would encourage anybody who is currently in the live audience to please do the same. Please hit that super share, smash that super like and hit that super share once more. Once again, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. There is already a few people who have joined us in the live chat, so I will say a quick hello to them. Just scroll down. First was They Lie Ohio. Good to see you in our chat, They Lie Ohio. Very pleased to have you here. Flat World Takeover, noting the fact that he was second. You were indeed. Good to have you here in our chat. Shroominati, lots of spam. Please do not spam when the chat gets going. It just ruins the ability to actually read what's going on for anybody else, so I will delete spam and eventually time you out for that, I won't lie. Star Binary says third. You weren't, Shroom was third, so yeah. Get in line, Shroom was before you. Agent Detective, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being in the live stream, nice to see you. The Rig says yo, as always. Yo, back. Nick L, pleased to have you in our live stream. And Sleeping Warrior, good to see you as well. And with that, I'll transition back to the photos. And you may hear me go through exactly the same information once more, should we not get a guest between now and the next 5 or 10 minutes. So you may hear me go through the links and invite you to join, invite you to share, invite you to subscribe. But if we do get a guest, I will introduce them. And what do you know? Perfect timing. We have our first guest. And it is Sleeping Warrior. Very pleased to see you, Sleeping Warrior. Can't hear anything from you yet. Can you hear me, Sleeping Warrior?
I certainly can.
Because I had the Hangout muted, so you couldn't actually hear me introducing you. So, how you doing? Good to have you here. Thanks for being here.
No worries. I found that elusive curvature I've been looking for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It is only apparent curvature. I can't prove it is curvature, but it definitely looks like curvature. So I shared it amongst my friends on, my Flat Earth friends on Skype, and I got blocked instantly by one particular person who's not even watched it. Given that my conclusion in the video, in the actual video, is that it's not proven to be curvature and it's more easily explained by atmospheric conditions, I got blocked without it even being read. I watched and I was like, oh my god.
Confirmation bias. We've been joined by Cat Earth and Curved Water, so good to see you both here. If you can say hello to Curved Water first. Okay, Alex first. Go ahead.
Hey. Love your Justice League t-shirt. Still haven't seen the film. Heard it's whack, but I don't care. I love Batman and Superman and Aquaman.
You're a bit of a superhero fan, yeah.
And Wonder Woman.
Good to have you here, Curved Water. How you doing?
Good. How's everybody else doing? Nice to see you, Riley.
Likewise. Pleasure is all mine.
as always.
I've calculated the angular size of the circle in the middle of my screen curved, but because I can't measure the distance, I can't tell you how big the circle is. Bit bad, that, isn't it?
That sounds like a personal shortcoming there.
Been joined by David. Good to have you here, David.
How y'all doing?
Great.
The man.
Fine. Pretty good.
I didn't realize David Blackson was David.
Yeah,
You know we're coming up. That's me from Dallas, Texas. Truck driver, Dallas, Texas.
Truck Earth.
David, I feel I
on,
might have
y'all.
unleashed. I might have woken a beast. You know, when I came on and I said, "Well done." Last time we spoke, you need to let people chat as well, man. Because like, although you're a warrior for the truth and all that, you got to give them chance to trip themselves up as well, man.
Well, sometimes they start spitting too many lies, and I just can't help myself.
And on that note, I'd like to introduce my friend called Curved.
Oh.
Look at Riley here trying to introduce strategery to the debate.
So, has anybody got anything contentious? I mean, is there any? Let's talk about let's talk about my evidence of curvature I found. Have you seen it, Curved?
Refresh my memory.
Well, it's only gone up in the last hour or two, so you might not have seen it. But I've presented evidence that supports the curvature of the Earth.
Very nice.
Let's see it. Can we see it now? Almost like not quite a Nathan exclusive, but almost.
Nathan, if you want to play it, it will be. Actually, he'll not bother. He'll not want to bother. It's. I'll try and do it. Hang on.
It's too much proof for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, we need some flat earthers in here. Somebody get in here with us. Where
Hey,
you
if
at,
you want
free?
If you want to present to everyone, Nath, until I get booted, because I'm bound to get sniped. But mind you, I probably won't get sniped whilst I'm actually presenting evidence that supports the curvature.
Yeah, they'll probably snap you afterwards.
Yeah, once I finish with that one, yeah.
Yeah, everyone, please hold off on sniping Riley until he proves the glow.
Because everyone's recording my words right now, right? So one of the main pieces of the evidence for supporting the curvature bit is this structure that sits on the horizon, and I didn't know what it was at the time, and looked at it, and I thought it looked like some kind of bridge or something, but it wasn't there before. And then somebody pointed out that it was actually a boat, and he gave me the link for it and showed me like another boat that was just like it, which is this one here. And basically, it's the exact same boat, but it's been flipped. You see the bridge of the boat here? And then there's this H structure, which is a mobile crane or a crane that's on the deck. There's another crane that's on the deck, and then there's a mast at the front. Well, that's exactly what I see in... Oops. Come on. Oh, my God. What's it doing? Oh, it's there. That's why. I see the exact same thing. There's the bridge. There's the post. There's the post. There's the other post. This little red thing... I don't know whether this is a tugboat or some kind of leisure vessel or whatever, but he's obviously servicing in some way this turbine. But this boat is behind the curve of the Earth on the ball Earth model. Obviously, this is the first time. I mean, the context of this is that I've done this experiment, like all this observation, at least 10 times, probably 12. I've never once had any evidence to like this. There's loads of boats up and down here. I've never once seen it like this. This is literally the first time I've ever done it. And I'll be honest, I was gobsmacked when someone pointed it out. Anyway, the video goes on, and I'm basically these turbines are going up by the dozen, and I wanted to just for my own records, just document how many there were this time, because every time I go, it looks like there's more. So
How
that's
far
what
do you
I'm
think
doing.
that is? How many miles do you think that is?
5. They're about 5. They go from 5 to about I don't know how deep they go, but they start at 5 because they're pretty much right on the horizon. Ranty worked them out at just 5. I think it was 5.12 or 5.22 miles.
How about a lighthouse that you could see at like 75 miles?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, what would be more proof that the Earth's flat? Seeing a lighthouse at 75 miles, or looking at a boat in the ocean where the ocean swells at 5 miles. I mean, obvious
sure,
fact.
I'm not arguing that it's curved. I'm just saying that it's evidence that supports it being curved, and I've never had it before. But it would be dishonest of me not to present it if I did get evidence that supported curve. And I'm always accused of dishonesty. So I thought, well, fuck it. Oh, sorry.
Anthony, do you happen to have the photograph that Negator showed the other day of what that ship really looks like? Or do you not have it?
I might have it. Hang on.
Well, before you start digging that out, can you just get through what you wanted to present? Then I'll introduce Louis. Then you can obviously contest it or whatever.
Well, then I just did it another bit more of potential curvature. I mean, basically, the yellow, the blue at the bottom of the mast, and then the little red band above it gradually deteriorates away. So that was supporting curvature. And then there was some other weird effect in this that I don't know how to explain it, but it was basically dancing. Look at how these turbines are dancing. Like one of those plants that when you talk to it, it starts to dance. I don't know what's causing this. It must be, I don't know. This is one continuous clip, and the rest, it didn't do it anywhere else in the clip other than here. So I'm wondering whether it's something to do with the rotating circles and the camera struggling to keep up with it in some way. I don't know. It was just an odd effect. I've never seen that before, and it's just bizarre. And then the rest of the video is basically like the whole point of what I was going there for. And then my conclusions were that it's atmospheric, caused by the weather conditions. It was very, very cold and very, very dry. Ordinarily, when I go there, it's of average humidity and it's a relatively warm temperature. But today it was freezing cold and it was very, very dry. And I think this has had something to do with it. I haven't got the physics to explain why, but that was the only difference. The weather was significantly different. So that was my conclusion. So I haven't concluded that it was curvature, although I have conceded it is evidence that supports curvature. It's just what causes it. Is it the curve of the Earth that's causing it, or is it something else? And if it is something else, can I identify what? And I think it's cold and very dry conditions may give me curvature. And that's it. Nathan, it's over to you now, dude.
I could just say a quick hello to Lewis Hackett before we do anything else. How are you doing, Lewis?
All right.
Hey, Lewis.
Hello, Lewis.
Hey, Mr. French.
Here we go now.
Hello.
David.
Yeah, we're outnumbering you now. What are you going to say? What are you going to go?
Yeah, I see how this is going to go down.
Oh, standoff.
We got it over here.
Well,
what have you got to say, David, about amazing footage?
You know, it's been like 3 weeks, and you still hadn't brought a map to show me. I mean,
no, well, come on.
What do you think about the footage Anthony just showed? What do you think about that?
A lighthouse from 75 miles is more impressive to me. I want to see what the farthest you can see one light from one spot from another.
Is there a lighthouse in that image?
There's not a lighthouse in that image, but at night, if you had a lighthouse that was 20 feet off the ground, and you could see it for 125 miles, would that prove it's flat? How far? How many miles?
120.
But wait, we're talking about
how many miles? Let me ask you guys a question. How many miles would it take for you to think the Earth is flat? If I could prove a certain distance, like 125 miles, if we could see a light from 125 miles, would you could see the Earth's flat?
David, we're just looking at Anthony's footage here of he's saying he thinks it's clear. Yeah, but why don't you?
We have to set a basis.
Before you ask that question, David, we actually asked you to comment on his footage. I think it'd be polite to answer that.
It's nice footage, man, but I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about it.
So why does it look like there's a massive boat sticking, like just the top of it is sticking out? This huge
the ocean swell. You have swells all in the ocean. I mean, I was in the Navy. I've been out. Yeah, there's swells.
Does my mic still sound terrible?
Yeah.
No, it sounds absolutely fine. You just sound very bassy, like you've got a bass filter in it or something.
Okay.
It sounds like you're constantly talking while exhaling a massive vape.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Do that as well. I'm sorry, guys. You just have to.
Are you getting a cold?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Are you on human growth hormone? Are you taking testosterone?
The manly hormone.
You notice how they skip over that? How far would you have to see
David, you skipped over.
How far would you have to see?
You admit that looks like it's curved, then, David. Then we can move on, yeah. So you admit that looks like it's curved.
Don't look curved to me. It looks flat to me.
Looks flat to David. You all hear it?
It looks flat.
That looks flat.
Flat as a pancake over there.
All right, then. That's David's position. So now, what's your question?
How far would you have to see a light from a lighthouse for you to be convinced the Earth is flat? How many miles?
I need more information than that.
All right, if we took a lighthouse and instead of making it spin around where it came around every 2 or 3 seconds, if you just point it in one direction and you can see it for 125 miles, would you think the Earth is flat then?
I want the elevation of
20
the light.
feet is the max. 20 feet at max.
20 feet for the lighthouse
20
above
feet
the
off
water
the ground,
level.
above the water level.
All right,
And what about the
lighthouse is
observer?
this?
The observer's going to be at 20 feet too.
Gotta be. The observer's
You're
gotta be
saying
20
120
feet.
miles apart.
We're just going to take the swell out of it, you know, because we're going to have to do it over water.
I'd have to
Or
see
you
the
might be able
photo.
to-
Where do we
I'd
have
have-
this situation? David?
Right. Yeah. I would say if I wouldn't
It's
say
a-
the Earth was flat, but I would want to see the photo and then, see evidence of
Need some
the
verification.
indicated heights.
All right, then we're going
So far-
to start. Go ahead.
You proposed the hypothetical.
I did propose a hypothetical. We just
Okay.
want to see if y'all have. We've already established that it's not even at 125 miles. You're not going to think it's flat, but that's all right. Come on with it.
Well,
Yes.
if you showed me a photo that demonstrated a 20-foot light above the water and then a 20-foot observer height and 125 miles between them, that would not be possible on the globe as we currently understand it.
Well, over
I would
water,
concede
you can
that.
get some serious refraction.
But yes, exactly. Over water, you can get a lot of refraction, but typically 125 miles that would be real extreme.
Been
That would
joined
be
by
extreme.
Brenda.
So
Would you
so
say
we got, there we go. We got a goal set right now to prove
Do you
flat
have
Earth.
Do you have it?
That's one.
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah,
this
yeah. A
photo?
20-foot observer height, 20-foot thing being observed, 125 miles of water. Yeah, that's a goal.
We've been joined by.
Just-
Sorry to interrupt you, David. I'm really sorry. Can we just say a quick hello to Brenda? Pleased to have you here, Brenda.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, can we hear you?
Hello.
Very
Yes,
quiet
good
if we can.
afternoon.
There we go. It's good to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What were we talking about? Dave was ranting about something. What was it?
Lighthouses.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right.
There you go.
The lighthouse.
Have you got a picture
I
of that?
haven't done it, but I just wanted to see, well, approximation here. If we have this conversation 6 months from now and somebody's seen it at 125 miles, I'm gonna be able to call you out.
Yeah.
All right, but
Fair enough.
could
Are you gonna be
concede
able to
something
verify
for me,
it?
David? Could you concede something for me that if you couldn't see it at 125 miles, would
No,
that
I-
indicate to you that it is curved?
I can't say that because I know of a lot of different tests that somebody could do to prove that it's flat, but it wouldn't matter what anybody did. Y'all aren't going to accept it, but that's all
Like
right.
what?
No,
Like
no.
what?
I'm just asking, what test would you accept? At what distance?
It's just that's what I'm asking you. You just said 125 miles to prove it to you.
But why can't
No,
you
no,
ever
I
answer a
said-
question, David? Come on.
I said that would prove it. It's that's not what I would expect to see on the globe, as I understand it.
Exactly.
That wouldn't prove that it was necessarily flat, but it would prove that there's something going on that I don't understand.
We've got to set some markers here to prove this thing one way or another. That's what we keep going around in circles over here, and there's no marker set to flip the conversation to now it's flat. Now what are we going to do about it?
Well, we haven't. You're using a hypothetical there, and I agreed to it. So, and that would it would. I mean, you'd have to do more than just one experiment to flip it around, because even if we all agreed upon the variables involved in the hypothetical, and
That's
then
what
you
I-
pulled up a picture that we all agree that matches the hypothetical, and then it doesn't match what we should expect on the globe, that would just be one example, and we would still have hundreds and thousands of others.
No, it would be hundreds and thousands, but yeah, that's what I said. It was setting the markers. You have to figure out what the markers are, the top 10 or 20 or whatever, top 100. But
So
no,
I mean,
we're just about to
like-
debate 50 here, and this thing hadn't been figured out. Okay, that's what we all got to understand here. Is that y'all believe you live on a ball, but you can't prove it. You try to say all these things, but you don't ever prove it, and that's why we're having these debates right now, because the flat Earth is a lot more evident than the round Earth.
It's
to
just,
me,
it's just
anyway.
an assertion that you're making that we can't prove it. Like, just because we can't convince various people doesn't mean that we can't prove it.
Yeah, we convinced 3 people so far, David, on this show.
Yeah, you did.
How many of you convinced? Carl, we saved Carl. Peanuts. Who's the other one?
Proof does not consist in convincing a disbeliever.
Jamie.
Proof Proof consists in presenting a logically sound argument for your position.
Yeah, we got a problem with proof here, David.
And David is not open to this, to anything.
Well, we know you don't have a map. Okay, that's number one. And we'll just go ahead and
We
start
do.
out with that.
And that's a shortcoming on your
We
part.
showed you everything you wanted to see, David.
No, I want to see.
Everything.
I want to
On
see
the
the
first
map.
time you asked this.
We'll make it real easy for you. I want to see an easy map of the world. That's what I want to see. Okay.
Easy mark.
You can't even.
If we show you them again, yeah, will you agree to not raise this issue again?
I don't want to see your Google Earth ball. Okay. We've already been through that.
You remember the other map we showed you, the 2D one with the accurate size?
You did. No, you did not. That was totally wrong. That's a lie.
Well,
how do you know?
That's the whole.
But it is a map. But it is a map, right?
How do you know it's wrong,
It's
David?
not a map.
Do we have to ask this
Sorry
again?
to interrupt you guys.
Sorry
to interrupt you, David. Can I just say hello to our new guest?
Okay, so
5 years from
Bear with me just 1 second. We've been joined by Jamie Woodstock. I think I've got that right. How you doing, Jamie? Good to have you here.
Good, thank you, guys. Good, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for being here.
5 years
No
from
worries.
now, 5 years from now, David will still be having the same discussion, the same
No, I'm
questions.
not.
Yes.
Same
I
don't think
will not understand.
No one is going to convince you, Dave, about anything.
5 years from now.
It depends on the test. We have plenty of tests. We have plenty of tests proving the Earth's flat. Okay.
So one test.
Bobo
then,
will
David.
be the only
Give us-
one
give us
listening.
one
We
test.
have no test on the
Give us a
There's no
test,
test
one.
on the.
Yeah, there are.
Tell us a
If
test
you were
want.
going to change my mind, Dave, if you were going to bring Jamie Woodstock onto your side, Dave, what would be the first thing you would say to me?
You know how you could prove it to me if you got in an airplane, right, and you drove and you flew it.
He'd ask you a question.
It's
That's
fast.
what he do.
Go ahead.
Answer
Go
the
ahead.
question.
Go ahead. Ask it again.
All right. If I were to come over to your side, what would be the best bit of evidence that you have to change my mind? What would that be?
The best evidence is water's always level, man. It's the end. It's
How do
the
you know
end.
that?
It's the number one
that doesn't-
argument.
How does that
It
mean
is.
flat?
They can't.
And how do you know?
No, but that's arguing gravity. That is definitely arguing gravity.
That's not arguing gravity
Not the
because
words flat.
all you have to do is go to a swimming pool and look at it and ask yourself, why would it start curving the bigger it got? It doesn't make any sense.
How much should it curve on the globe, David? A swimming pool? How
If it's
reasonable are you
25,
being?
if it's 25,000 miles and it's only half the ball's 12,000 miles, man, that's like 12. What is it, like 10% every 10% or something like that?
Well, it
It
could
should
be.
go down. It ought to change. It ought to go down 10%. Every 10% in elevation from the top of the ball, you go down.
Okay,
It ain't doing that. You ain't got
no,
10%.
No.
10% on 1,000 miles.
10%?
10% on 1,000 miles, man.
There is no 10%, David. Stop with that, please.
Let's pretend
we
that's-
don't know how to add. We got a big
Let's-
goddamn physicist over here to figure
Let's
that out.
pretend
That's
that
right,
that
you
statement's true for just a second. What's 10% of 25,000 miles?
2,500, man.
All right. And at what point in your entire life has anyone even claimed to be able to see 2,500 miles?
That's the hope. No, that's what you're claiming because you live on a spinning ball 25,000 miles.
That's
Ding,
a
ding,
knockout
knockout
punch,
again.
Lewis. That was a
that's
knockout.
different.
You guys
That's
just got
diff-
uppercut.
No.
Lewis just got
When have
knocked
you
out.
ever seen?
No, you got
When
knocked
have
out.
you ever had the opportunity to see 2,500 miles?
Man, you can't get 2,500 miles of curvature, can you?
All right. So exactly. Why are you
Ding, ding,
expecting?
not round two, round three.
Why are you expecting to see a swimming pool curve? What swimming pool is 25,000 miles across?
We see P900.
What swimming pool is 100 miles across?
That's what I said. Where's the marker at? Is it
So
100
why are you
miles? Do you
expecting-
have
why are you
people are seeing
expecting-
lighthouses at 100 miles right now, man.
Why are
David?
you expecting to see it curve?
They're doing radar at 200 miles. Okay. So,
David,
and
can we
planes
talk
fly
to
level-
Bobo, please?
And
Can we
planes
talk to
fly
Bobo?
level for thousands of miles, don't they? They fly level. Up airplane flies level for as many hours as it's up in the air, right? Unless
Level.
it drops to land.
Same
Yep.
altitude.
It's all level over here.
Yeah. You know how many feet are in a mile?
I don't know, 1,400. I don't remember, 5,200 or something like that.
Yeah. 5,280. And how many feet tall is the average human? About 6, right? So,
Man,
what fraction? Divide 5,280 by 6, and that gives you 1 whatever it of the percentage of a mile. Like that's going to give you. Let me just do that on a calculator real quick. Calculator. 6 divided by 5,000.
you can go over land at 60 miles an hour on the ground and you see nothing, man.
Like your average human is less than 1% of the length of a mile. Less than 1%. Why are you?
How many percent can a human drive around the ball, man?
3 miles. We can see about 3 miles. We can see about 3 miles.
Sorry, can I just? Ebbing Tide, you need to mute your watch page. Ebbing Tide, you need to mute your watch page before you join. If you can just do that, and then I'll intro you. I've popped you on mute. If you're on a mobile, tap the screen to unmute. If you're on a PC or Mac, just wave your mouse over the Hangout page and it'll show you the mute button. But for the now, you just need to mute the page you came in on.
Nathan, can we talk about the Brenda thing? Because everyone in chat wants to talk about it.
I want to talk about it. So apparently Brenda has deleted, well, not apparently, she admits to it, she's deleted about 160 files from a shared drive that she was a part of in terms of her grouping somehow. And yeah, Anthony Riley challenged her about it and she openly admits it, which is shocking to me, but there we go.
The link was published in an open chat.
Right.
So is Brenda's free to delete
the link
stuff?
to the Google Drive was published in an open chat. I looked at them, and they were Crow 77's videos of bats flying in the front between his camera and the sun, which he claimed. I don't know. He made some kind of bizarre claim for him. So I deleted him.
Whose Google Drive was it?
It was a shared drive.
I don't know. The link was,
I don't know. The link was, I saw the link. I clicked on it. I looked at the videos. There were these stupid videos of Crow 77 claiming that the moon is close because he could see ethereal beings flying in front of the moon. And these ethereal beings were bats.
Well, I mean,
the man is a fucking moron.
No, I agree.
And that was 160. It was 160 videos of.
So basically, Brenda is the type of girl that goes to a party where there is a shared meal. She goes up to the nachos, tastes one nacho, and goes, "I don't like the taste of that." So she chucks them out the window so no one can have them. What a complete and utter bitch!
Nathan, that's your first warning.
I mean, I agree with Brenda disliking the content, and I probably would too. But yeah, it's kind of rude to delete them, and I don't see why you kicked her. Did you kick her?
Can't hear you, Nathan. By the way.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Yeah, she's not a new guest, so she knows the rules. So of course, you know, if Cathexis yesterday got a couple of warnings, then I kicked him. But Brenda's been here loads of times. She knows not to swear. But ultimately, she's swearing out of frustration because she's been caught red-handed. And yeah, she's, you know, not liking the nachos isn't good enough reason to chuck them in the bin so no one can have them. You know, she doesn't have to like the content. That's just outrageous. You know, don't share things with Brenda.
Well, I mean, from Brenda's point of view, I think if she were here, she might change the analogy to somebody has put little cat turds in with the nachos.
Well, what if the host of the party wants... Hold on. If the host of the party wants turds in their nachos, good for the host. You don't have to eat them. What you don't do, regardless of the content, is chuck them out the window so no one can see them. What if it's a joke for someone else to come along and see? Then that joke is ruined because she doesn't like the joke.
Well, I also think it is just someone else's work, and I don't agree with that. As much as I disagree with Flat Earth, I wouldn't just go in and delete. It's like I don't go around down thumbing every Flat Earth video. I just it's
they're removing history, man.
They just took some of them.
I
They
don't
took
see
out
that.
Robert E. Lee. They took out Robert E. Lee down here in Dallas. They racing history all over. People got to wake up around here.
I do agree with the analogy to book burning. Like it is similar. You know, you might not. You know, it's just yeah. I think, but at least you know she's got the balls to admit it, and you know,
Disappointed to hear this happened.
Sorry, sorry, I did not mean it like that. By the way, sorry.
Anyway, we've been joined by I Am Rick. How you doing? Come in, Imric.
Hello.
How you doing? Good to have you here.
Well, I guess that Brenda thing's over with then.
Hey, Rick.
It's the Rick and Rick show.
We don't want to hear it.
Oh, in the chat, somebody was ranting at David in the comments, saying, "I know you. You're Imric, and I hate you."
They sound similar, but
I think we should have a moment of one-on-one. Is that possible?
Right, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it over here.
We've also been joined by Ebbing
David,
Tide. How you
I'm a
doing?
big supporter of you. Don't let them. I know they don't answer your questions, and I'm for you all the way. Team David.
I appreciate they not go. They don't get it, do they?
They don't get it.
Sorry
They
to
just
interrupt,
don't
guys.
get it.
They ain't figured it out yet.
How many square miles is a swimming pool before it becomes a truck, David?
Before we get into the next debating topic, or the last debating topic as the case may be, can I just say a quick hello to Ebbing Tide? Pleased to have you here.
Thanks, Nathan.
Good to have you. I'll turn you up a little bit.
Why do they call airplanes airplanes if they're not flying on a plane?
because they're planing over the air.
Have you ever looked up the etymology of the term airplane, David?
I haven't.
Well,
I'd love to hear it, though. I'd love to hear it, Curved, if you know it off the top of your head. I'd love to hear that. I haven't looked that up.
I don't remember it to recite it, but I did look into it, and I did see that it was ridiculous what they're claiming. So I was wondering if he had ever done that little bit of research into it, rather than just ask a bunch of people that he doesn't listen to anyway and doesn't pay attention to our responses. Have you done any research on that question, David?
Why do they call it sea level?
Why do you not answer questions, David?
Y'all are funny.
We're funny.
Well, I would say that
I've got it. Sorry to interrupt you, Lewis. So it comes from the Greek, A with a little wiggle over the top of the E, and then an R. So A-E-R, meaning air. And then the other from Latin, planus, meaning level. So it's air level. Love it.
Yeah.
Glad I looked that one up.
That's what I saw too.
Round two.
That's what I saw too. But I mean,
so now we have to argue about what level means, don't we?
No, we don't. We don't. Because language itself predates science, and it predates our understanding of the shape of the Earth. So, right there, to me, like the etymology of a word doesn't necessarily prove a thing. The definition of it's much more important.
Yeah, words don't matter. Words don't matter, Lewis Hackett.
Been joined by Cathexis, who's super quiet.
Be mean.
I don't know if you can turn yourself up, Cathexis, but you're the last one in, which means I've got limited control over your volume.
Oh, it'll get louder.
Okay.
We need somebody like Jacques Cousteau to come back. You remember back in the 70s, we had this guy named Jacques Cousteau, and he would go around and do all these things in the ocean. You remember? Did anybody watch that?
Jacques who?
Cousteau.
I don't know him. Right?
I do. Yeah. Wu-Tang Clan. Sorry, Nathan.
Wu-Tang.
Cathexis, are you calling David Omric?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was Emmerich talking. Forgive me. Did you read off the etymology of airplane by any chance? I didn't hear. I was coming in.
Yeah, it comes there. I mean, there's going to be different etymologies depending on which language you look at, but it basically means air level.
It does. Yeah, that's weird.
Isn't that the level where it flies? Does it fly on land or does it fly in the air? Does a hydroplane move about in the water or in the air? It moves on the level of the water. The
Well, they
airplane
do
is
say
moving on the
water
level
is
of the
level,
air.
so
Yeah, but that doesn't mean flat, and you can't.
so plane means level. I'm just trying to see if that's true, right? To
We
make
don't have an
smooth,
issue
to
with
gloss
level.
over flat surface, plane, level, plane, right?
Well, the etymology of a word is not what the definition is. It's just kind of where it comes from and the words that a word might be composed
The
of.
etymology of the word doesn't matter to the
when it doesn't
meaning
suit
of
you,
the
Lewis,
word.
right?
Well, it doesn't necessarily coincide with the definition. It sometimes does, but
Why did they call it an ocean liner?
What?
That's what I wondered. If you're on a big ball, right, any straight line between 2 points will be a curve. So an ocean liner would indicate as well that it's traveling in a straight line or not. What do you think?
I mean,
I
if
see
you
what
want
you're
to
saying.
if you want to look at words like that and decide that the literal reality is based on the etymology of words, you're free to do that. I'm not going to
That's how
stop
all
you.
words, Lewis. That's how all words are originated, of course. Do you think words?
Sure, but I mean, science came into being after language did. So we use a lot of colloquialisms, and language is very flexible and malleable, and it has a lot of baggage that literal words and interpretation of reality don't have.
We would have to agree on a fixed history, right? And this is what we're debating about, isn't it? Amongst other.
I mean, if we're on specific things, sure, we would have to agree if we want to decide about the etymology of words. But I'm just saying, I don't think the etymology of a word really matters that much.
Lewis, that's a bit foolish. You should really,
especially if they're
look
flying
into. Now, I'm not saying it proves it. Now, I'll have to agree with you. It doesn't prove anything.
Yeah, right. That's all I'm saying.
But just to say that words have no relationship to necessarily to their etymology is nonsense.
I didn't say that.
Think about Lewis. Think about you coming up with an invention tomorrow, right? You are going to name, on average, right? You're going to name the invention in a form of fashion in relation to the functionality or the properties of your invention, right? So this is one inspires the other. One comes first, and then the words follow. So this is generally the way, right?
Pleased to have you here, Pete, by the way. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Nathan, how you doing? Hi, Eleanor, if you're here.
But I mean, that doesn't the word name you choose is more of a sentiment than how the thing actually works. So,
but let's also consider.
I mean, it's still like it's not really a big deal. Like the etymology of a word isn't necessarily that important. That's all I'm saying.
You know, you're being recorded forever, right? Just saying, man.
Sure, it's cool to know and cool for understanding the meanings of
cool
other words that
to
are
know.
related.
It's cool to know what etymology is in relation
to make connections. It makes it easier to make connections from one word to another, but not to the literal interworkings of reality.
Actually, it does. It's where words are created for, to describe reality, and the etymology of the word shows the history of it and the reason, the origin.
No,
of
the
that
etymology
word
shows the relation of words to other words, not to words to reality. We create the meanings and definitions and concepts for words apart from that.
Who's we, Lewis?
Oh, humans, you know.
You know, Shakespeare was credited with adding a 50% again to some total words used in the English language.
Okay.
Mr. Bacon.
So there could be a contrivance to all of this, couldn't there?
What was that, Cathexis? Did you say something?
Well,
Richard Bacon, did you say?
I said Francis Bacon.
Francis
Bacon to Shakespeare. Yeah, Francis Bacon is known to be Shakespeare.
You know,
big up Richard Bacon though.
What does etymology have to do with the shape of the earth?
Well, it's a vessel.
Well, we were discussing the words
line.
plane and line and sea level. Like these are words that
ocean liner vessel belonging to a shipping line.
Well, yeah, that's what Pete brought up. But the word airplane and the word sea level, I can understand that argument by David. It is interesting. I actually have made that argument at one point, a while back.
You argued for the concave Earth the other day too. So,
well, no, that's the point. Is like when you understand what level means on a sphere and what level means on the inverted sphere, which is the concave Earth, then you'll see that it matters to know the etymology of that word. So,
okay.
So, well, that's what I was saying originally, isn't it? Because we have to argue what level means. So it doesn't.
The Earth is concave, Lewis. Wake up.
Yeah, but their whole point, Kath, is that like because it's an aeroplane, it means level or whatever. That the Earth is flat. But you believe,
but that's not true because level means something different.
Well, exactly,
See, this is another thing that the flat earthers don't understand. Level on a sphere means in relationship to the center of mass. And so what it's
for how long? For how long does it take to get past that?
Well, you see, David, it's a misconceptualization.
How long does it get? How far do you got to go to measure that? So you don't have any measure.
David, every point on the sphere is level. You're misunderstanding what the word means.
How long you get to you have to curve down? How far you got to go?
Okay, you're mixing up concepts.
Is it 10% every 1,000 miles?
David, I'm not. Hey, brother. Hey, you're my favorite.
You don't know the answer.
Bro. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm trying to tell you the answer, but you keep interrupting.
David's not there, David.
The word level is. Hold on, let me say. I'm not, David. I'm trying to tell you. There's a David. Let me finish. There's a difference between the word level and the word flat. Okay, so what you're describing is something that you would be referred to as flat in this regard. Flat at sea level, you would call it. No, it's not. They totally mean two different things on the sphere Earth model. Level means in relationship to essentially the center of gravity. Okay,
right, we'll call it level Earth from now on. Is that what you do?
Hang on.
Well, that's what the globe Earths call it.
Let me say, Texas. Let me say I'm not aware of your changed position. But therefore, if let's say you are a concave earther, right? David and I are flat earthers, and Lewis is a convex earther, right? Now, let's say we were all in location in Ireland. The antipodes of Ireland is Australia. So if I was to point to Australia, my instinct would tell me to point across. Point level, horizontal. Lewis's instinct would be to point directly down at his feet. And you're going to tell me now that you would feel perfectly natural pointing directly above your head to point to Australia?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. At about 72 degrees. But you see, you got the celestial sphere in your way, so you're not going to be able to see it.
Oh, gosh. Do you see how ridiculous it is? There's only one thing more ridiculous than Lewis's pointing, and that's Stephen Christ's pointing.
Oh my gosh, don't be so naive, Pete. Come on. Dodo Earth really does point to it being concave, but that's another piece of the puzzle. You just don't know yet.
The barrier is concave, Texas. This is the point.
What's north of the United States, Canada, and what's north of the United States, Canada, and Alaska? What's north of us?
The center of the glory hole.
Huh?
The center of the glory hole.
13,000 miles is all you got on this half the Earth.
Yeah,
David, you don't have to like this.
What's on the other 13,000 miles? Water.
Just listen to Cathexis. You don't have to like it, but this is the real world we're talking about now.
Real convex world, right? Yeah, Australia above my head.
I'm just saying, 72 degrees. Hey, Pete, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like it.
I love it. I love Lord Stephen. He plays a great character.
Well, no, Lord Stephen took this from me. I mean, it's unfortunate I have to tell the real truth of the matter, but I read Cyrus Teed many more years before him, and he just ran with it. Why else would they put the guy like him out in front of it? He says he's God, so nobody's going to listen to him. I mean, seriously, wake up.
Well, also, Texas, the dodo would look ridiculous on the inside of a contoured surface, man. It looks perfectly fine on a flat plane, right?
Well, like I said, you're just a couple puzzle pieces away from realizing the concavity. We need to do a concavity search.
Maybe Pete's got the truth, and he's been put out there to make the dodo look ridiculous. You ever thought that? God. Yeah, you should look into the dodo.
Oh my God!
Did you realise this, Pete? That you were just a couple of pieces away with the dodo from realising that it's concave? Were you aware of this?
I'm aware that there's a puzzle in place, and in order to get the answers, you have to get different pieces and put them together. You have to find the right puzzle. You have to find the right puzzle pieces and mix and mash. This is the game, and it's all of our story, irrelevant to what Alex has to say. His voice sounds a bit different. Cat Earth, is this more like your real voice, right? Or not sure, but anyway, that's what I've come to find out, and this is by no means a trivial search as well. This has been laid out. The dodos helped me to solve the Sgt. Pepper's 50-year-old puzzle, the biggest band in history. And
their whole sound more manly with this voice.
Excuse me, their whole that's you don't sound the same anyways.
No, I sound better, I think. Improved.
Well, the Beatles to realize that they were put together for the purposes of all of this, what we're going through now. The Fool on the Hill tells you that the Earth is stationary, but any song that comes along and tells you the truth, there's more to it, right? So you got to dig deeper. That's all.
I get all my
truth. I'm just going to get a beer. I'll be back in like 10 minutes when Pete's talked all the stuff he always talks.
Yeah.
He'll never be done, Alex.
A beer sounds really good right now.
Well, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, again, you're just denying reality. You're bringing us back to every hand's turn back to this nonsense, the globe Earth nonsense.
He is being a reality denier, I think.
Yeah, he knows it as well. You think Lewis isn't clever enough?
No, he knows.
What year do you think it was where man, human man, had the ability to travel and figure out if the Earth was round or flat? What year was that finally accomplished?
I would say it fully was realized when Christopher Columbus attempted to sail west.
No, that's actually not.
That's when I would say
never existed.
I would say that's what the best evidence.
That's what the little poem that you were given in 7th grade told you. But if you look at the actual history of
sources by the guy, you know.
If you look at, look at the history, what's that?
I said, Pete just challenged. I can see how to do it now. They present us with an official story, right? And then for the conspiracy minded, they present us with an equal and opposite story. So when you look into Hitler, you find a good guy, you know, you find an altruist, you find something completely opposing the story.
You also find Walt Disney, Pete.
Right. Well, it's the same with, well, that's a possibility, but it's the same with Christopher Columbus. When you look behind the official story, then you find this monster, you know, this man-eater, or this, you know, this psychopath.
Man-eater. As far as I know, he didn't cannibalize anyone.
Well, when I say man-eater,
he's being hyperbolic. He's not.
Yeah, it's brutal to children and to the natives, as the story goes. But I say he never existed.
Men did all that stuff. I don't think he did that by himself. Though.
Yeah, as far as I know, Christopher Columbus was quite nice, and then it was the conquistadors who came after him.
With Australia, it's the same as James Cook in Australia. They did the same shit to the Aboriginals.
We missed the main point there again, though. Pete got cut off.
You're still kept in the trap.
I want to help you out, Pete. So the main point that Pete was trying to get across was that Pete was challenging the validity of his existence. And it got cut off both times. So Pete's actually saying he doesn't believe Christopher Columbus ever existed. So what evidence have we got that he...
I think it's a quite big possibility, actually.
You have the CC with the 33, the hoax code.
So what do you make of the primary sources that I own that are written by the guy to and from various...
What's your bloodline, Hackett?
Various...
What's your bloodline?
Sponsors for the trip, you know.
Why do you have primary sources for those?
Original material. I'd love to see those, Lewis.
Really? You have primary sources
I guarantee you they're not original
those
sources.
Historical events.
Are you a Cologne?
Lewis? Are you a Cologne, or you got Stein at the end of your name?
Just America, Discovery and Exploration, Volume 1.
And they didn't even come out with a locomotive until, you know, the diesel locomotive in the 20s.
Yeah, those
what year is that?
That's steam power. I don't...
What's that
connection?
What's that year?
This edition is prepared expressly for patrons of record, and this copy is registered in the name of Lewis G. Harriman Jr., William B. Harriman, John H. Harriman, Thomas J. Harriman, and Elizabeth Harriman, presented to them by their father, Lewis G. Harriman.
Are you a Harriman, Lewis?
Harriman?
America is dedicated to our boys.
That's what the fuck is going on here.
I fucking told you.
All right, both of you, no swearing. I'll just boot both of you.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Beg your pardon.
I don't see what that would demonstrate. It's hilarious that
you're a Harriman. Oh my goodness.
No, I have these books. I have these books that were written and put together for the Harrimans.
That you have on the shelf behind you.
But you have them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a lucky guy. Not very many people have these.
Okay, go on, please.
You know, did you ever meet Bill Clinton, Lewis?
No, I'm happy to say that I haven't.
Right.
Can you put the cover up, Lewis? Can we see it? Can we see the book? If I put the screen on you, can you hold it up to your camera?
Yeah. I'll show you the cover. There's a
back a bit.
There's an eagle there.
Back a bit.
Eagle.
Cool.
Got an eagle. And there's a seal. And then on the back, it says America, Volume 1. I think it says America there. No, it just says Volume 1. It says America a little further up the binder.
Okay, Lewis, let's see the proof. We know this.
And then this is what I read to you just a moment ago.
Okay.
The salesman that came by.
Nice books, man.
There's a Britannica.
They are nice.
And I mean, I can read it to you if you want. It's a bit difficult and clunky to read, but you know, then there's
save that. We might have to save that for the next tour.
But how can it be proven? How can it be proven he wrote it?
Yes, this is what I'm looking for. But it sounds like you have a prop at your disposal there.
They're from various. This is an accumulation of primary sources from various people, and part of that is Christopher Columbus. And you can corroborate that these sources are from primary sources by going and finding those primary sources in real life, which you can do.
No. That's not good enough, Lewis. I'm afraid that's not good enough.
Well, I mean, I don't.
I mean, you could present.
I'm just letting you know. I mean, you can dismiss whatever you want. This is very clear. This is very clear corroboration with other sources that you can corroborate in the real world that Christopher Columbus was real.
Right. Well, again,
these are the things he had to say. This is what he had to say. All right.
Right, but there's a narrative being presented to us, right? So there will have to be supporting sort of evidence put forward. You know what I mean? In this.
Well, I mean, you would have to discredit this. That would be the next thing to do. I mean, you can just claim that you don't believe it, but that doesn't actually discredit it. It just says that you don't believe it.
We've been joined by Shill Scanner. Very pleased to have you here, Shill Scanner.
Oh, there he is.
So yes, good to have you here. Pleased to see you.
I mean, I'm just going to put this book back up on the street here.
Lewis, you're a hurry man. Oh my goodness. Doesn't that just say it all?
His mama bought those books from that travel salesman that went by, man.
Of course you know the Earth is flat and stationary.
Nice books, come
on. Of course you know the Earth.
Do you read many books, Pete or Dave? Do you read books?
Can anyone prove? No. Can anyone prove that what shape the? Can anyone prove what shape the Earth is without regurgitating what they've learnt, what they've been told? Can anyone actually prove it?
Yes, water is always level.
Seen the
to yourself.
Yeah, yes. Water's always flat. It's always that's right. Any other way?
If the Earth is stationary, the ball doesn't enter the equation based again on the universal behavior of water at similar temperatures, pressure. The Earth has been proven stationary, and we experience the Earth stationary. Simple as that.
Why wouldn't the water do any different in the ocean than it does like coming off a mountain? Say it rains at the top of the mountain, it goes down, gets in a river, and goes all the way down to sea level. Why, if you're living on a ball, why wouldn't it just keep on going down the side of the ball, huh?
Yeah.
Well, because the water wants to go towards the lowest point on the ball, closest to the center of the ball.
I think I've got a perfect answer for that, man. It's a
winning. It's a winning.
I remember you. I remember you now.
The Earth is flobe.
So
Earth reality, man.
Gravity's the simple answer for why sea level is sea level.
What is gravity? What is gravity?
The attractive force that exists between objects of mass.
Have you ever seen it, or are you just again regurgitating what somebody else has told you?
So Ebbing.
That's. I mean, I observe this in reality. So.
What gravity?
Gravity.
I observe an attractive force between objects of mass. So an object of mass is anything that has material. So
well, can we ask you?
Can I answer
the same deal with the flat Earth?
No, but I want to answer a question to Evan, if that's okay. So you don't really need to know science or anything to know that the Earth's a globe. You can see the photos that have been shown. Even Riley came on today with a really good bit of video where he's seen things going over the curve. They're obstructed by curve. We don't see the sun changing in size as it sets. It just sets, so it's not moving away in perspective. And also in the southern hemisphere, when they're looking up, they all see the same set of stars moving around a different point because there's two celestial poles. These are really, really simple things that you can do. You see the stars spinning the other way, in the other direction. Hang on, Pete. We've let you know. Okay, right.
We've heard this from you 100 times.
Yeah, Pete, you stream the same thing every night.
Do you deny, Pete? Do you deny that?
No, can I continue my point, please? Right.
Sorry.
So I'd say to Ebbing, with these simple observations that can't be done, like replicated on a flat Earth, we're not seeing you're seeing the moon not change size as it moves, as it's supposedly moving away from you. Everyone on different ends of your flat Earth disk when they look out us south, are seeing the same stars that are spinning in counter direction. None of this stuff works on a flat Earth. It's very, very basic observations.
It only works on flow, bro.
You don't made those observations. You made those observations yourself.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, sure you have.
Well, I have. Pete, it's really easy. It's really easy. I see the moon not changing size. I see the sun.
So you know what I say, the sun and the moon.
Have you made the observations I'm talking about, Pete?
But you know what I say the sun and the moon.
But hang on, have you? Yeah, I know you say they're a lightsaber tree.
Yeah, so how would it affect your?
No, it doesn't matter. What matters?
I'm talking.
Have you made the observations? No,
how would it affect your reckoning if you try to take these things into account?
How?
In other words, the sun is not a tangible, solid object.
Hold on, I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything.
So why have you made the
right? So you keep coming back.
No.
You keep coming back.
I don't believe in anything.
Just let him finish his question.
Like, I don't believe
cutting each
you're
other
afraid
off.
I've
You guys need to make up.
Turn you all down. You're all being turned down. So I can say this. Nobody can be heard until I get this sentence out. Right? Are you listening? One at a time. Alex, just ask your question. Pete, just let him finish the question and then address it. But at the moment, nobody can hear anything either of you are saying. At the moment, no one can hear anything on the panel because it's just me talking. But you just need to let Alex get to the end of his question once, Pete, and then you can address it. Otherwise, no one can hear anything.
Thank you, Nathan. So,
how many
sorry.
square miles are there on
David,
Oh,
this
Dave.
is rude.
Oh,
Did
God.
you not hear what Nathan just said? Come on, man. You're being really rude, man. Come on. So I asked Pete. He asked me if I've made observations. I said yes. Now I'm going to ask if he's bothered to look at these observations himself.
Yes, I have.
And so what do you think? Well, I sort of know.
I think that the globe is nonsense, and because you are not describing parameters properly, you're coming to the completely false and wrong conclusion.
What do you mean by parameters?
Like Lewis here has just exposed himself as an actor. You, of course, are an actor as well.
Okay, so let's keep the insults out of it, Pete. What parameters am I not representing correctly?
Okay, you're not defining in terms of your search. Are you out for search for truth? Are you? If you are, you're going to.
Yeah, I was. I used to be a flat earther, and then I
of course, you did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
What was the biggest piece of evidence that drew you away from the globe Earth then, after a lifelong of?
I just describe them all, and you ask me this question every time, and I just describe them all.
So you're that easy. You're that gullible then. You're that shakeable.
No. That to me would say that everything points to the fact that it's a globe, and if it's not, there's some weird trickery around. There's just completely weird stuff going on.
What's the official piece of evidence that brought you away from the globe that you believed in and to the flat Earth?
The angular size of the sun, the moon, and the celestial sphere.
That's what made you believe in a flat Earth initially.
Yes. If you don't have problems understanding geometry, basic geometry, it's really obvious.
Alex, he asked you. That wasn't what he asked you, Alex.
Exactly.
He asked you what made you become a flat earther initially, and before you switched. Yeah.
Just because watching stupid videos and getting brainwashed.
Wow.
All right, so you are.
That's it. That's it. No, but that's it. Don't tell me that's not.
You didn't do any research. Wait. You didn't do any research.
Yeah, when I did
jumped on.
No. I just got gradually saw more and more people, and I jumped on the hype train. And then, that's it. Yeah, but what research have you done, Pete? You just
that wasn't my course. I'm a flat earther since 2013, man.
Yeah, well, I haven't been that flat earther that long, and I wasn't thankful. I was a flat earther longer than I like to admit, to be honest.
Well, Pete has transcendental methods. So,
does anyone in here?
The Texas transcendental meditate is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely, he has very good methods.
He believes in it.
Does anyone actually observe the Earth spinning? Do they feel that they're moving? What's the observation on that one?
I don't know about
the question that Alex asked him.
But I do not observe the Earth spinning with my own eyes, but I also don't observe my car tires spinning. I don't observe a lot of things in my existence that I do note.
But you'd observe it if you were looking at them. If you were
you couldn't devise
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let me answer this for you.
Mirror out your window, Lewis.
Let me answer this
I know.
for you. This has actually been a large issue in science that's been largely just kind of dismissed after NASA claimed that they realized what they did when in actuality they probably didn't. Even Einstein said there's no optical experiment that exists on this Earth that would be able to determine if the Earth is actually moving. And so what they've had to do is essentially infer it.
Ding.
And And I mean, it was just necessary for the astronomical model that they were presenting to be true. I mean, Copernicus's model and then adapted through Kepler. So what NASA did essentially when they went up there, they were like, yeah, it's totally spinning.
Well,
and so that is a sincere question.
For 100 years before they even brought it back out.
Moment,
Copernicus, they didn't even believe
one moment you were going on.
Copernicus wrote that.
Well, from space,
one moment you were going on your own observation.
Magellan did that.
One moment you were going on your own observation, the next moment you were referring to NASA or science. So are you going on your own observation or you're going on what you've been told?
I was just trying to help the argument that it's not.
Right. Well, I don't think we need. No, I agree, Ebbing, with what you're saying. You specifically asked about us observing the Earth spin. I agree.
What's the proof,
I've never observed the Earth spinning, but
beyond
I have observed
beyond observation. What's the proof, Lewis?
I have observed lots of other things moving in the sky, and that suggests that something is moving. And then you get into relativity.
Well, couldn't it be that the stars and that are doing the moving? If the observation is I'm not spinning, why would we buy the story of spinning?
Where is all
because it's possible? Because we observe things moving, and since it's possible, I mean, since something moving means that either you're moving, or it's moving, or you're both moving. That means when you see things moving in the sky, something is moving.
Right.
Motion means something.
And if a bird, if a bird sky and fly past, then and the observation was I'm still, would I say, oh, I'm moving because a bird's moving?
You can consider that.
You could, but you could see a bird flying when you're driving in a car. It's moving then too, and you can tell because of how the motion is.
But then you take these factors into consideration.
When you're in a car, you're already moving.
I hope you're all enjoying the show thus far. I'm going to run through a few links and then pass you back in a moment. If you've not done so already, please share the show on social media. And if, like 50% of the people watching this, you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the panel when there's a gap, because there's 10 in at the moment, so you might have a bit of trouble getting in if you try at the moment, but once there's a gap, click on mute on the page that you are currently watching, then click on the link below this video to join the debate and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. Number 2, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. You will be welcome back on the next stream. With that, I'll say once more, please share the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter. And if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. There is approximately 1 hour left on this stream.
But the motion's irrelevant to the shape. Sorry.
Just to clear up, Lewis, you're a herman. You deliver fast food for a living. Okay, just to clear that up.
Why you got to be so mean like that? What do you do for a living, Pete?
That's not been mean.
I don't see why you care so much.
No, you said that in a derogatory way. Why did you say that?
He's on probation.
Nothing wrong with delivering
I like him
food.
a lot more when he's chilled out. You know what I mean? When he chills out a little, he's a lot better of a guy. When you're on edge, man, I don't like it. But
well, you just got to give him a drink. Just one beer.
A couple beers, maybe a Xanax or something. I don't know what you like, but you need something to chill out every once in a while, Lewis. But I like you, man. You reside in a different dimension where like color doesn't exist or something, but I like you,
I like you a lot.
Do you know when you walk through the front
Riddle me
door,
this says fake beard.
you're actually doing
Hold on.
moving?
Wait 1
or is
second.
the front door moving to you?
Does this look like a thick beard, mother fornicator? Does this look like a thick beard, mother fornicator? Does it?
I love that beard.
Sorry, guys. Can you just Ebbing Tide's been trying to. Hold on, Jamie. Sorry, Jamie. Really sorry. Ebbing Tide's been really patiently trying to get a point in, and she just always gets talked over. I know she's patient enough to wait for me to actually interrupt for her. So, Ebbing, go ahead.
Yeah. When you walk to the front door, you feel the motion that you're actually walking to the front door. you don't automatically make the assumption that the front door's coming to me. Because, and you're also very aware of being stationary. So in being stationary and you see something moving, why would you automatically assume that because that's something moving, oh, I'm the one that's doing the moving?
Well, because there's nothing observably attached to that object that is clearly moving. Whereas with the door, it's attached to the ground and you're also attached to the ground. So you can deduce that it is you, in fact, that's moving over the ground rather than the ground moving under you.
But can you deduce if it's the sky or the earth moving yourself? That's what she's essentially asking.
Well, sure, but yeah, exactly. There's nothing attached to the sun. There's nothing attached to the moon. So
how do you state? Because you
one of
unequivocally state that
so
it's
if you
the
have
earth.
a ball, right? So if you have a ball and it's moving, it's not attached to the ground, but it's moving, and you can notice its motion standing still or moving.
You're not very good at analogies,
but
Lewis.
how are you determining that the Earth is moving and not the stars in the sky? How are you determining that?
What's the
other than by either taking one belief or another belief and saying I'll go with this belief or I'll go with that belief?
Right.
We're trying to decide.
How do you actually determine it?
It has to do with the various models of spheres that you can depict, and what the observations we see, how they compare with the various models we come up with. And the one with the sun at the center of a solar system and all the planets moving around it, that explains what we see very well.
But wouldn't it also explain the same? It would explain the same as you're saying. From the sun perspective, it would explain the same if the Earth was stationary.
If the Earth were stationary and also a sphere, if the Earth were stationary and also a sphere, yeah, almost all of the observations would be the same. But if the Earth's flat and everything's doing some magical dance up above it, there's a lot of things that don't line up.
Not magical as in gravity magical.
Oh my God, that's not true at all.
Oh my God.
Quit telling that story, Lewis. That ain't true.
Okay, all right.
Oh
Get rid of the word magic. If you got if you got everything moving around above it.
Yeah, gravity's magic too.
That doesn't really matter.
By definition.
How about if you drilled a hole all the way through Earth to China? Would you be upside down when you got on the other side?
No, and in fact, you would be weightless in the very center.
I got an idea, guys. I've got an idea. Let's super like all the way over there. Let's hit that super. Let's grab that super like right in the Muay Thai clinch, right? And knee it in the face over and over again, over and over. Knee that super like. Hit it up, guys. Come on. Get Nathan to 5,000 subscribers before Christmas, man. He needs a new super sport car, man. Come on.
I love it. You heard the man. You heard the Russian man.
To the shape. How is motion relevant to the shape? Can anybody
Well, it's
answer
part
that?
of the package, Kurt, and you know it. I mean, a
geocentric
Earth.
Answer.
No, this is a serious answer. Listen, a geocentric model of the Earth. Geocentric model of the Earth. It has a stationary Earth in the cosmos moving around it. And this is a serious
model
question.
Is a globe, and you know that.
I just said it was.
How is motion relevant to the shape flat versus
because
globe?
With the model that you're proposing, it's an important question because the point is that the model is under scrutiny here as if it were a reality. You're saying the model is reality.
Between flat and globe, Cathexis.
I don't know, it's concave. I'm trying to teach you guys that it's concave, but you won't listen to me.
Yeah, see, like I said,
let's go back to the assumptions that Lewis just mentioned.
I can explain why the motion demonstrates the sphericity of the Earth. I think Curb's asking to prove a point that you guys don't actually know. I think that's why he's asking.
Let's do assumption first, Lewis, at the start.
The reason that the motion demonstrates the sphericity of the Earth is if it were flat and things were moving away from us, revolving above us over a disk, it would never, none of the celestial objects in the sky would ever come into contact with the ground. They would never appear as though they're being physically obstructed by the ground. But on a sphere, that's exactly what we would expect if they're revolving around it. Even if the Earth is at the center of the universe and it's geostationary, but it's a ball, and all the other things are moving around it, you would expect them to be obscured by the horizon, and not everybody would be able to see them all the time.
Everything works the same on a flat Earth or a round Earth. Okay.
No.
Absolutely wrong. Dead
Same
wrong.
deal.
Dead wrong.
So if you have a light bulb on the top of a hallway, imagine an endless hallway, an infinite hallway that never ends, and you just look down it, and you have a light bulb that runs on a track that just keeps going and going and going. You could continue to look down that hallway, and at no point would that light bulb come into contact with the floor.
Not true, Lewis. Not true.
No, it would reach.
You can't see infinitely far, man.
It would approach an asymptote.
Here's my thought experiment.
Does it cross the horizon?
It does not cross the horizon. It would not cross it.
You misidentify, especially over water. You misidentify the horizon as the hard water line that
it doesn't matter, Pete.
No. Just stick with the hallway, Pete.
Okay, you can't see into the infinite distance. It's a very difficult thing to try and imagine, right?
But we have telescopes, right?
Well, I mean, here's what I've been talking about. Imagine a huge warehouse, right? And it's pitch black, and the very back end, there's a big mirror. Someone somewhere has a laser, not a huge laser necessarily, but a laser, and there's loads of people scattered around in different locations at different levels in this warehouse. And the laser goes on. No one can see where it's coming from, but everyone can spot their own particular reflection, right? This is what's happening when we look at the sun. This is what's happening when we think in terms of a flat Earth and a barrier above and a light energy being projected around it. It's an observer-dependent light source. So when you call something magic, why don't you at least try to develop the model, Lewis? Develop the flat Earth model.
Develop your model, what you just described.
Pete, come up with the best.
Develop your model.
That unique observation for the observer is what we see with rainbows and reflections. But the sun is not. That's not what we see with the sun.
No. This is not true. And rainbows are, I was going to say intimately connected with the sun, but I was going more accurately.
Intimately, I mean, they're a function of it. They're created by the sun or a light source, but they're not. I mean, intimate. I mean.
No, but more especially associated with the pattern that the sun emanates in. It emanates like concentric circles, and this has been hinted at us from many different spots. You can actually see it yourself. If you're into sun gazing, which I know you won't recommend, but if you are into sun gazing, wet your eyes slightly and hum through your teeth, and you'll see the pattern emerging to you.
It's very interesting that you bring this up as a thing to do, because I used to do that very similar to as a child. I would lie on my back and look at the sun and just, bathe in the sun. I would very slowly open my eyes, ever so slightly, and I would see the rings that you're talking about and all that. But that doesn't.
You ever hear that song, Billy Thorpe, "Children of the Sun"? You ever hear that song?
Lewis, I found the color purple. Sorry.
Have you ever heard that song?
Very appropriate.
My gooch is on fire. Have you ever heard that one?
Please stamp on it. My gooch is on
fire. You can do a two-slit experiment basically with your eye, which is what you're talking about, is creating the colors of the rainbow with a slit that is the width of the wavelengths of light.
Let me tell you, Lewis, and maybe you've been searching for this as well. I found the color purple and the black sun. So you were talking about seeing these patterns when you do look at the sun. Well, look at the sun the next time and say through your teeth, be, he, me, behemoth. And look at the pattern of the sun and watch the color purple appear before you and the black sun appear as well. It's all about frequency and vibration. And listen, the last thing, ultimately,
that just demonstrates something about the size and shape of light waves and how they interact with your vision. That's all that demonstrates. It doesn't demonstrate anything else.
Lewis, light is an effect. Light is an interaction between the sun's energies, frequency energies, and the water particulation throughout the air.
No, that's what our vision is. That's not what light is.
No. Well, this is why I've been thinking about this. This is why when you rise above the atmosphere, well, in my thinking, there's a barrier there. But the barrier is black. The sky suddenly turns black because light isn't an intrinsic property of the sun. It is an effect, as heat is an effect.
Well, I mean, you know what that explanation for why the sky turns black in our model is, right? It's because the color of our atmosphere is blue.
Just while I'm on the point, right, and maybe you'll be able to answer it, and it's for curved water as well. You're talking about this temperature layer that the ISS has. There's very few particles, but these particles are 3,000 Kelvin or something like that. It's a massive temperature. But the reason that the ISS isn't disintegrated is because there's very few of these particles around. So
the higher you want, the colder it got. Isn't that the story? Yeah. The higher you go, the colder it gets. Isn't that
right? The individual
what they say.
This is my question, David. What dissipates the power of the sun then between that high temperature at that level and us? What is taking away this potent sun's energy?
It's the preponderance of the particles, like you just said. So if you have like scalding hot water or scalding hot bacon grease and you're cooking eggs and a little bit comes out and splashes you on the arm, yeah, it's hot, but it's not as hot as if they dumped the entirety of the bacon grease on your arm.
No, Lewis. The point is the particles themselves are getting their energy from the incoming sun rays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sun rays aren't discriminating. So if there's more particles there, the sun rays will, according to your story, will heat the poop out of them. So what I'm trying to say is, when you come down then closer to the denser atmosphere, what is absorbing this sun's energy? That we receive it, that it's cold, first of all the way down, even up to mountaintops, a few hundred meters or miles high. What is absorbing all this energy then?
I mean, they're up in higher levels, like on mountaintops. It's not like you actually get sunburned a lot quicker up on mountaintops than you do down on the beach.
If you had a bucket of particles and you went up to this stratosphere where the ISS passes, and you just tossed the bucket of particles out, would they get instantly sort of brought up to the same 3,000 degree temperature?
No, it would take them a minute to absorb the energy, but they would. That eventually would happen, and they would find an equilibrium.
Right. So where the rest of the particles that are absorbing this energy, because the sun's rays are consistent, right? They're not going away.
Mm-hmm. Right. Sure.
And yet, once we get up even to plane level, 30,000 feet, it's freezing. It's -50 out there. The clouds can't said to be roasting. You know what I mean?
Right. It's the preponderance of particles there to absorb that energy, right? So the total heat per unit volume of an area up high in the altitude, right next to the space station or even next to an airplane, the total heat is much less than on the ground because there are fewer particles, but each individual particle has much more temperature.
I understand that, but where all the energy is still incoming, right? So where is it losing its capacity?
To the particles in the atmosphere.
Yeah, between
it's losing it to the particles in the atmosphere.
So you're saying the particles in the atmosphere are themselves, they're not 3,000, but because there's so many more of them, they're probably, hundreds of degrees positive.
Right. They absorb, each particle absorbs, the further you get into the atmosphere, the less each particle further down gets absorbs because there are previous particles before it to have absorbed some of that energy. So the particles out right next to the space station, that's why their temperature is so much higher, because they are the only particles to intersect it. And there's an equivalent amount of light radiation spewing constantly. So they get the maximum effect of that radiation.
It just depends on how fast you're going, man. None of that's true unless you got speed involved. You got to have friction.
The ISS is traveling the Earth, one orbit of the Earth, it said, every 90 minutes. So for 45 minutes, it's in direct sunlight. So that's enough to fry Scott Kelly inside, right? What's that smell of pig?
Well, it does get hot, and that's why they have radiators up there.
Yeah.
It's one of the things they have radiators for.
Yeah,
but
a lot of technology from the 30s.
A lot of it, I mean, the various ways of transferring heat is transferred, right? There's thermal conductivity,
conduction, radiation, right?
Yeah.
Right. This is what I'm asking you about, the convection, right? The
right.
sun's
So
energies
all
are
you
constant.
have up in space, all you have is the radiation. Virtually all of the convection is negligible, and there is no production either. So you only have radiation.
It's very impossible at this stage, Lewis, but we'll bear with you anyway. You tell us that the center of the sun is at a certain temperature, massive temperature. Then as you get towards the external, it decreases in the vacuum of space, but it still leaves the surface of the sun at a massive, I think it's 12,000 degrees or something like that.
Why don't you just talk about how much oxygen you got to send up there to send somebody up there to live? Okay, how much oxygen would you have to carry with you?
I don't know, David. A lot.
And you're not gonna be able to stay up there very long. That's right.
It would depend upon the rate that you could recycle the oxygen.
So there's nobody up there, man.
What makes you think
No,
they
there
can't
is, because it's
recover the
theoretically.
oxygen
Sure,
from
admit,
carbon
David,
dioxide?
admit, David, that it's possible to recycle carbon dioxide into breathable gas. Admit that.
No, I don't believe that.
You don't believe it.
Well,
Well,
then you don't
okay,
know.
so to you, it's not provable.
You got to have water, hydrogen, and oxygen produce oxygen.
No, you can make oxygen out of carbon dioxide. You make carbon and oxygen.
Dioxide, yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Once you
my
go,
God.
you know how
No, you separate them. You have, David, you have to add a lot
so
of
you
energy
tell me all I
to
got to do is put my
facilitate
car
this
in the garage
reaction.
and shut the door, right, and leave it running, and then I'll produce oxygen in there.
No, that's you. How stupid do you think these engineers are, David?
I don't believe that.
Well, he probably thinks he's smarter than they are, so he must.
I know,
think
it's
we're
very
really dumb.
obvious.
Well, look, I think we
You gotta have
diverged
water to
from the
produce
topic.
oxygen, man.
That's
You
how it
gotta have
goes.
This is how. This is how. This is how.
You have to have water to produce oxygen, man.
You don't need water to produce oxygen.
There is oxygen in water, but there is also oxygen in carbon dioxide. And what we exhale is carbon dioxide. So creating or pulling out the oxygen from carbon dioxide would be the method of recycling breath. That's what you would do. And if you can do that, there's a given rate that you can do that at. The faster, the better.
Well, trees don't use.
So there's a minimum amount that you have to
create
bring up so that it's not completely exhausted by all the people before it can be replenished. It's a very simple. I don't know what the answer to the math equation is, but that's what the equation would be. It would be the rate plus an initial amount that you need that can be replenished in that amount of time.
And don't they take more oxygen? Don't they resupply with supplemental oxygen?
I would imagine they do, but I don't actually know.
But these guys, if they don't even understand that carbon dioxide is one carbon atom with two oxygen atoms.
Man, nobody believes that.
Well, then like I said, you don't belong here.
So you don't believe chemistry,
guys?
David, you don't believe chemistry? You don't believe chemistry?
I don't believe that they can stick you in a little box and you can get in there and breathe without adding anything.
Well, no one's claiming that.
Well, how do trees
you
make
think
oxygen?
you think they stick you in a box with a machine and you just stay in there living, right? You're full of crap.
Oh no, you could make they have little, and you can demonstrate the principle. There are little forests that you can put in an enclosed glass bottle.
How big is this machine?
Look,
turn
David,
carbon dioxide into oxygen. Let's see.
I don't know. But there are ecosystems. David, can I please get this out? There are ecosystems that you can put inside of bottles that will live forever. You just put a little cork on there and they have the same air all the time. And there are things in there that breathe that air. There are plants that turn it back into breathable air for everything that's in there. And this thing, if you just leave it in the sun, it'll live forever.
Man, nobody wants to hear that.
Can you super share that with me?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll pull up a link of them. There are people who have had them alive for decades inside these bottles.
Hit him with that super share, Lewis. Hit him with that super share.
Their life in there, Lewis. Their life inside little ecosystems that you're talking about. As in,
I'm not sure what the term is, but
I think that I honestly think this has nothing to do with the actual shape of the Earth, and I think it
has to do with the theory of being able to recycle everything within a confined area. It's the ability of something to recycle.
Lewis, you have no firsthand knowledge of these systems. And
look, Cathexis, I don't need it. I don't need firsthand knowledge. There's all sorts of things you guys don't have firsthand knowledge of, and I'm not.
Why are we arguing it? Who gives a damn, dude?
Well, obviously we all do.
What's up, Eben?
Maybe if we were telling the truth, that we don't know any of it. We're just going on what we've been told.
We're trying our best.
That's what I'm saying, Eben.
Yeah, and trying to make out that we're knowledgeable and don't really know anything other than what we're told and regurgitate that. What we do know
Curve knows
Yeah,
all the
what we
answers.
do know is what presents to
That
to
does a
us
tremendous
without-
disservice to everybody who makes a living and dedicates their life to discovering
Super
these
chat.
things that you're claiming that we're just regurgitating. You want to put
Well,
yourself and all of your flat
that's
Earth
exactly
stuff on
right.
this pedestal with the people
That's exactly
who are
right. You could
providing
tell me a story.
infrastructure to our
Lewis.
lives.
You could tell me a story.
Big shout out to Ed in the super chat. He asks, how much does baby formula cost? My wife breastfeeds.
You could tell me a story, and I could go and repeat that story, and then that could be believed, and that person could repeat the story, and that could be believed.
Right.
But all we can
Yeah, but
actually
if someone
go on
tells you the
But if
truth,
you
you're
can't
never going to
is their
believe
own
it
direct
anyway.
is their own direct experience. Unless you're relying on other people to tell you what you are and what you're seeing and what you're feeling, so that all you're doing is regurgitating what other people have told you.
I mean, I really don't get why you're here then, because I believe the things
Perhaps
that
just
I've
to
been
point
told
that
about the
out.
shape of the Earth, because they
You have
corroborate
faith.
my observation.
You have faith, Lewis.
Can I please talk? Or no, you're just going to interrupt me and discredit
Well, let
my
the
character?
faithful talk. Well, go ahead. Let the faithful talk.
All right.
I'm
So
listening, Lewis.
if I tell you a story, and part of that story is something that you can do that will have a predictable effect in your life, and you believe that story, and then it doesn't come true, you can either assume that the story isn't true, or you didn't understand what was being told.
Tell us the story, Lewis, then. Come on. What can we do to prove? What can I do underground with simple terms to prove to myself that I am moving at a given speeds and that I live in a big ball? Simple terms now, Lewis.
Yeah, but the stories that are being told.
You can look at all of the things that are moving. You can make deduct. Are you going to let me talk?
Okay.
You can make simple deductions about. Are you going to, David?
Are you going to let me finish? Are you going to let me finish, Lewis? All right, I'm finished.
You're telling me. Off you go.
You can make simple deductions about the nature of motion by just looking around at the world, and once you've got a pretty good handle on how you think what it looks like for things to move,
I think I do.
And what that means in relation to you, and in relation to the other things, then you can look up at the sky and you can see the motion there, and you can extrapolate.
But the key word is you can think of anything. The key word is you can think of anything.
Right, Ebbing.
Right, but and that's why I'm saying use deductions. That's why I'm saying to use deduction.
Okay, Lewis, hang on, Lewis. I have come to that point. I have made observations about movement in terrestrial sense, underground, and I have looked up and seen movement in the sky. But I'm nowhere near where you're saying I should be, right?
Right. So does it look like to you, Pete, that the sun is moving further and further away from you throughout the day and then getting closer and closer to you throughout the day? Is that what it looks like to you?
Well, you know where I'm coming from. I formulated my own
equinox.
I think is going on. But yes, it does. It looks like it's light. It's an observer dependent light, and that it's traveling around me. It's traveling from one side to the other over my head and coming back again.
How's it get to the other side?
I've got an answer for you, man. Flow with you, bro.
So why is it not obeying the laws of perspective, as you guys put it?
What perspective?
Well, why doesn't water? Why doesn't water?
As it moves away from you.
Shrinking because it's a reflection. It is not a solid body for me, curved.
What evidence do you have that this is a reflection?
That's what I was talking about, the laser in the lighthouse. With
what evidence do you have of this being a reflection piece?
What evidence?
Than just your own
I've proven that the Milky Way is to be found on the moon, which hang on,
look at an image and determine what it looks like.
I'm speaking. I've proven that the Milky Way is to be found on the moon, which has massive implications, possibly one of the biggest finds ever, right?
But nobody agrees with it. But.
Well, that's fine, right? In time.
Well, they actually may.
In time, and I've also satisfied myself that all there is the sun and its reflected artifacts off of a contoured.
You have no evidence for this, Pete. You have no evidence for the sun working
realize
this
that they
way.
didn't even have the ability to go and search the earth all over and just in the last 50 years that's been able to happen.
I think
people didn't even have televisions 50 years ago, man.
Tell them, Alex.
No, I think Kev's making a good point because, you guys are all asking us, what makes you think this? What makes you think that? We tell you, but what makes you think it's flat? I mean,
who are you?
Are you seeing the sun? Are you
because
seeing
if
the sun
you take
moving
a
away
thousand
from you?
swimming pool,
are you seeing anything that would make you think it's flat?
Yeah, if you take 1,000 swimming pools and line them end on end, there ain't gonna be no curve on it, man. So
How do you know that?
Have you done that? Have you done that
yourself?
yourself? That's what you'd say to us. Have you done that yourself?
Right, but your experience will tell you that 2 or 3 swimming pools will exhibit that behavior. How much?
No, it doesn't. Not even close. What swimming pools do you know of that are miles long?
Okay, while these guys get into a bit of a wrangle-dangle about swimming pools, I'm going to do my links and say that we have about half an hour left on this stream. So if you did want to join, there is, I believe, one space at the moment. Click on the link in the info box below this video. Be sure to mute your watch page before you click on that link. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. And number 2, if you are ejected for swearing, please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. If you've not done so already, please super share the show and super like and all of those good things. And if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. There are at least 50% of you watching this video right now that are not subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button. And with that, I will transition you back to the action. If you did want to do any trolling, give it about a quarter of an hour, and then I'll invite any trolls to come in and do their thing as well.
You just don't get it.
So
the Germans were the first people to be able to go out 20, 30, 40,000 miles without being and be able to get back. Okay.
40,000 miles?
No.
You can believe anything. You can believe anything. The only way to actually recognize the truth is to drop all belief and take a look.
Right.
Drop
That's
all
what
belief.
we're doing.
Because
that's what we're doing.
That's what science does, Ebbing.
So you're
no, you're believing science.
But hang on.
You're believing science, and so therefore you're caught up in a system. This is to be not caught up in a system.
A system of skepticism and massacring.
But Lewis, your initial assumption
is in dropping belief. That's like
Lewis, your initial
assumption of science.
Your initial assumption is based then, right, always and ever on the Earth. Remember you talked about the different possibilities in terms of movement?
No, I stick to that a lot because David's persistent.
But hang on, all of your philosophy and theorizing is built on the assumption that the Earth is moving. Why?
It's not philosophy. It's not.
It is a philosophy.
Can you feel it? If you can't feel it, it's a belief.
That's false.
Sure, there are a lot of beliefs that I have that are also stem from not being able to feel things, but I can see things, and I use that.
You can,
oh my.
Are you saying
explain why the motion should be felt? How much motion do you think there is? What force is generated to substantiate your assertion that if you can't feel it, it's not moving?
The reality to things are either moving or not.
So you don't have an answer. So you don't have an answer.
Right. You can say, imagine what would happen on a sphere. You could say what would happen on a sphere versus a practical Earth, right? But the truth is that there's only one reality.
The point
so if the sphere isn't a reality, everything associated with the sphere is not a reality.
It's actually concave.
She made a fallacious
or concave.
Earth is concave flow, bro. Concave flow.
It's concave flow.
Come on, bro.
Do any of us really know? Do any of us really know the shape of the Earth?
Yes,
I know your ignorance onto society.
They think they do.
Being totally
honest, do.
It is concave flow.
In being totally honest, do any of us actually know the shape of the Earth?
Yeah, Ebbing, I know it.
Before we can
even investigate, we need to know the truth. So before we can start any investigation, we have to start with a blank slate.
Ebbing, let me ask you a question, please. Do you believe that people do know the shape of the Earth?
No, I don't believe.
People in high places.
There's no need to believe that.
Harrimans,
why don't you drop that belief, Ebbing? Why don't you get rid of that belief and then start from a blank?
There's no need to believe that.
I think they know that, Ebbing. They have defined the boundaries. They have defined the continental interland mass relationships. I think that's all well known, and more so, I think it's presented to us. You asked, does anyone know the shape? I know it. I think I know it actually. Hang on, and I'll tell you where to find it.
But again, you're quoting somebody else's belief. It's not from your own observation.
Right, but but then you're very limited, aren't you? You're very limited.
At least you're secure enough to stay with your own observation and not be dependent on everybody else's observation. Because once you're dependent on anybody's observation,
If we did
Once you're
that,
dependent on
we would
everybody
all be
else's-
reinventing. If we did that, we would all be reinventing the wheel every day.
Pretty weak.
Well,
So we should look into things.
maybe your belief. This is
So we
just staying with
should-
the
well, I
truth
mean,
as it is, rather than
Get rid of
exaggerated
all,
into all
Evan,
sorts of
go get
beliefs.
rid of all your beliefs. Stop relying on other people's beliefs that have created all this technology. You know, just get rid of it all. See what you
Point
can
out a
make.
belief.
Yeah. Just give
Point
it
out
a
a belief that I've quoted.
Ebbing,
There's
why
no
do you
belief
think
there.
all of humanity should be limited to what you know or believe?
That's not what was being said at all.
Yes,
what
that
was
is
being
what's being said. That's
rather
what you're
than
saying.
depending
You're
on
saying
other
that we
people's
should be
beliefs.
limited by what you know and believe.
I don't believe people are
That's not
upside
what-
down
what
on
she
the other
was
side of
saying.
a ball,
Exactly
man.
what she's saying.
That's not what I said at all.
not.
What
That is
I said
exactly
was,
what you're saying.
Herb, you're being ridiculous.
what I said was,
That's
if
what
you,
she's doing.
if you
She
can't
wants to
depend
throw
on
away
yourself,
all of
get her.
humanity's knowledge.
Curve thinks if he drives long enough, he's going to be
She
driving
wants to
upside
throw
down.
it all
Yo,
away.
that's not what I
No,
said.
she doesn't. She's asking about
Blank
not what I
slate.
how
said.
can we know what we know?
Hold
Start
on,
with
guys.
the
Hold
blank
on.
Asking how can we
Hold
know
on. Hold on.
what we
Sorry,
know?
guys. Sorry,
How
guys.
do we know
Guys,
what
hold
we
on.
believe?
I think David's got a very important point to be making about driving.
Oh God.
So you
David?
think that if if I leave my house and I want to go to Australia, that I'm going to be riding upside down when I get there, huh?
Upside
No,
down relative
we've never
to what?
said that once. It's you that has that
Relative to
misconception
his starting
in your
position.
mind.
If you connect America to Russia, right up there in Alaska, you could drive around the world with all the continents we know except for Australia, right?
Yep. As far as we know, sure.
Yeah.
How are you
Okay.
getting from?
So
How
how come we can't have how come we can't have a driving map of that?
We don't have
Because it's a 3D
David.
surface.
No, I have a driving map of the United States. How come I can't have a driving map that connects all those continents together where I can see exactly what they look like? And where they are north to south, huh?
They're not all connected in the way that you're even asserting.
Yeah, and all the flat
made a
driving
bridge.
maps that you see,
That's untrue.
they're not
That's
accurate. The flat
David,
driving maps that you see have to be
David.
warped. The flat driving
David.
maps
You'd
that you
have to
see have to be
believe it.
warped. Can I please address this map thing,
All
David?
seven.
Are
Oh
not
my
all
gosh.
equivalent. The maps are not to scale. They're disproportionate,
Exactly.
and you can tell because they're set up in a grid. And as you move north, they move to be more rectangular shaped grids.
So how come I have a piece of paper with a map of each grid, huh?
You can. You can.
So why hadn't anybody? So let's see your grid
It's
map of
called
your
atlas.
ball Earth.
It's called
See
an
that
atlas.
that atlas is wrong, man. That's a big lie they put in there.
This
All
is
those
the real-
atlases are wrong.
This is the
Tell
real
me
coordinate.
atlas
why is it,
Hey.
David?
Hang
if
on.
the
Hey,
atlas
get your
is
book
so
back there.
wrong,
Get your book back
David,
there.
David, if
Get
the
your book
atlas is
back
so,
there.
David,
Hey, get it.
Do it again,
Hey,
Lewis. You
if
repeat it the other
atlas
night.
is
Do
so
it.
wrong, if the atlas is so wrong, why can you use it? You're a trucker, right?
Get it out back there. It's the A one. Get it. Look up Atlas of the world and let's see that map. And I guarantee it's wrong.
They'll soon bring you to a grid or a Cartesian coordinate-like system. I've always said it.
warped.
The dodo wears a checkerboard dress, meaning that in any flattened
That's why y'all
station
keep
plane,
losing every one of
that
these
is,
debates.
hang on, man. That is the coordinate system to be used, just like your local ordnance system.
Why is the grid warped, and why does it turn back into perfect squares if you throw it onto a ball with an equivalent grid?
I just want to see it on a 2D map. That's all right. What you don't understand is you're arguing for something that you don't even have in a 2D map.
It can't fit on a 2D map because it's a three-dimensional surface. It's
Why can you fit?
Three-dimensional surface, so it does not fit accurately on 2 dimensions.
So why can you get one to put in your car from Easy Mart, man?
Why don't you draw an arc so that it sticks off of
Big shout out to Scooby Doo.
Why don't you do that?
We don't want to argue about this. We already know that y'all don't have a map, so we've already
No.
Again.
You need to understand why it is that all flat maps representing the Earth are warped, and it's for the same reason that if you were going to draw an arc that's
They're
supposed
not
to stick
warped,
off
man.
of the
They're
paper,
They lied to
you would have to warp
they
it.
put these imaginary pictures out there for you, okay? And you believed them.
Because they've
It's like
lied to us, Lewis, about us living on a globe. This accounts for warpedness, right? You have to measure.
No, it's because the shape of the Earth is three-dimensional and a piece of paper is two-dimensional.
We live on a flat stationary plane and a Cartesian coordinate system, which is what the square of the square compass represents.
It's so funny that you accept the people's authority who made that Cartesian system, but you just throw out everything else. That's hilarious to me.
It's not, Lewis, it's your local coordinate system. It's how station and intermass relationships.
I think there's more land, man. There's probably more land.
I'm going to wish you guys luck. You know, it's been a real lot of fun. I hope you guys figure it out.
We've been joined by Spurs Chemo. If I can just say a quick introduction to Spurs Chemo. How you doing, Spurs?
Have a great night, Mr. Harriman. I'm sorry, Lewis.
Mr.
How you doing, Spurs?
It's not interesting. It's not interesting.
Lewis is mad because Earth is...
bear with me, Shield Scanner. I just want to say a quick hello to Spurs.
Hi, Spurs.
Hello, Spurs.
Hey, Spursy.
Hello.
Hey, Nathan, I just want to... I'm going to die, guys. But,
big ups.
Yeah, my phone's about to die, but proud to be a part of this, Nathan. Love what you're doing.
So...
love these little chats.
Thanks, Jamie.
Just to make a point, Lewis Harriman. So one of the best known and wealthiest families around, as far as I'm aware, and he's
let's not get into that here or anything.
Why not?
It's a good piece of history, indeed.
Why not?
I don't know.
People aren't brought up with the whole truth from a very early age. He's playing a role. We obviously know he's playing a role, as there's so many others. But that sort of gives the game away, right? And Harriman,
it could have been the book set could have been a gift from the Harrimans, as he's mentioned. His last name is
he has that look about him, though, doesn't he? And I suspected that before, that he comes from a wealthy Masonic family or something.
I don't even get into it, Lewis. Hey, whatever, man.
Just showed you that. I told you. I always said there's a greater game.
This is Lewis. This is a flat Earth debate with you. We just got to beat y'all every time. It's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, it looks like, David, you got him this time. He left tail between his legs, man.
Well, he knocked us out last round, but we had to come back this time.
Right, while you're all slapping each other on the back, I'm going to do a quick introduction. I've turned you down even if you talk over me. So if I can say a quick hello to 4D4M or A4 or Adam Dwyer. How you doing, Adam?
Oh, my goodness. What's up, Adam?
Hey, how's it going, Nathan?
Very
Still
well.
hard up.
Very pleased to have you here. Good to see you.
Good to see you, mate. I heard Lewis say that a piece of paper is a two-dimensional object, but it's three-dimensional.
Of course it is.
Like that guy's just off his head. He thinks
he's
so smart, but he can't even look at his own logic and see any flaws in it. It's like, dude, you just called a three-dimensional object a two-dimensional object.
All right, is this technical enough for you, Adam? The
Yeah,
representation of the globe on the paper is represented in two dimensions.
Oh, well, so something on the piece of paper, but that's not what he said.
It's
he said
two
a piece of paper is a two-dimensional
Hyper-technical. I agree with you. A piece of paper is three-dimensional. That is correct.
So now you're going to try and go into technicalities.
Point for you.
Like,
the point
he was
is
talking about drawing a
you
picture on a
cannot
piece of
project
paper.
a three-dimensional object onto a flat surface. You can't represent it as a two-dimensional plane.
If it's origami,
you
then
can't do it without distortion.
Represent a cube on a flat plane. You can unfold it.
Anybody with any intelligence out there already knows what I'm talking about. You guys can keep derping about this thing that David thinks
your assumption is we live on a three-dimensional ball curve.
There's no assumption, Pete. You're assuming your sun reflection and that the magic, magical appearance.
I know that's true, man. I know that.
Appear in all kinds of different places for people at
the moon
various
and the sun,
locations.
exactly the same size. That's just a
even though your magical reflection conforms, all observations of it do actually conform to the globe of the stated size.
Moon and the sun exactly the same size.
How convenient. How convenient. How convenient, Pete. But you've invented magic to explain away this simple globe. Good for you.
Water. You believe that you live on a three-dimensional oblate spheroid because you've seen pictures.
I don't believe it. I know, and pictures have nothing to do with it.
You've seen pictures.
I can do math. I can think. I can reason. I have logic, Adam. You don't know why I know it's a globe.
Can you do differential equations?
You've seen pictures
I don't
of it,
care
which is obviously a two-dimensional image. So you use these two-dimensional images to then say that it's a three-dimensional object.
Andy can't even use math.
I can do.
I gotta say, Nathan, this is an all-star panel.
They say the sun's spherical. You
No,
say the
this
moon's
is
spherical.
pretty
You
weird.
have-
I totally agree. I think it is an all-star panel.
Oh no, we've got some
proof
stunners here.
Your proof of these other celestial bodies being spherical is a two-dimensional image. Curved water.
My friends, The Earth is
flat.
Globe.
There you go.
Globe. It is a concave globe Earth. Guys.
It's concave globe Earth reality, man. If you can't accept it, that's your problem, you know. Not our
Hey,
fault.
Curved Water, have you seen all sides of the sun and all sides of the moon?
I think so. Yeah.
You think so? You're not sure about that. You're not sure about that then.
I can't say with 100%
He
certainty.
can do the math, Adam. He can do the math, but he can't do the differential equation math.
I'm answering your question and being honest. As far as I know, yes, I have. Because I accept what I have seen as being the other side of the moon, the other side of the sun.
Images that, and these two-dimensional images are completely CGI most of the time.
Are you Australian?
If you're going to say that you've seen the dark side of the moon, you're absolutely dishonest.
I don't argue this. This is not proof of the Earth.
Man.
This is not proof of the shape of the Earth, though, Adam. That's what you don't get.
I
don't argue about these things.
No, but it is.
You asked me a question, and I gave you a simple, honest answer,
Let me
dude.
elaborate.
That's it.
It is, though. It does
now
matter.
you're
it
trying
does matter
to use
because
it
you're going to
against
look up and then
something
tell me
that's
that
irrelevant to the shape of the Earth.
Look, you're gonna look up and tell me that these other celestial bodies in the sky are spherical, and therefore it's more than likely that we're on a spherical object. But yet you haven't been able to verify even if these other celestial bodies are spherical. So
Adam, when have I ever used that argument? Other bodies in the solar system are spherical, therefore the Earth is spherical.
Dude, don't play the
when
game.
have I ever used that argument, Adam? Once again, you assume that you've assumed
He's never used that argument. He just agrees with it.
I don't use it. I don't like the argument. I disagree with the argument. I don't use it.
He don't like to talk about balls in space.
Talk about balls on your chin.
Oh, damn!
In the last quarter.
Damn! Curve coming out with that seventh grade action.
What's your biggest proof? Curve
it's a higher grade level than his crap.
A spherical.
We had to come up with. I didn't want to talk about your mama here now.
There, I told you, higher level than his.
Curved Water, what's your number one proof or evidence that you live on a spherical object?
I don't
balls on his
them.
chin.
I don't rank them. Oh, that's very creative, Dave. Wow.
Oh my God.
How embarrassing for you. So I don't rank them, Adam. I don't. It's a
he just swallows them.
It's a compilation of evidence.
A compilation of evidence.
Compilation of various forms.
Many be able forms, to briefly elaborate on.
You already know what they are, dude. You already know what they are.
What? Apparently, ships going over the horizon.
Well, that's one.
Well,
they do go over the horizon. They do go over the horizon.
You can't prove that happens after a certain point. Just wait. You can't prove
anybody who knows anything about what they're looking at knows that they're going over the horizon and they cannot be zoomed back into view.
You can't tell me that you see forever. You can't see to where the.
You don't need to see forever. I can see the top of the ship, Adam. I can see that far in all of these videos.
Oh my God!
So you're using videos. So wait.
All right, let's all chill out. Let's all chill out.
You're using videos. Just wait a second. He's using videos to verify his claims, but he just said earlier that videos would be a two-dimensional object.
I use videos from flat earthers.
So you use two-dimensional objects to prove your three-dimensional world.
Ooh, that is pathetic. There's nothing that involves 2D versus 3D when you're looking at a video to know whether it's going below the horizon or not. Pathetic attempt, Adam.
Okay, so Kurt, you still refuse to admit that there's a mirrored water layer in operation at every zoom in over water over good distance.
In every,
I
refuse to admit that it's in every. Yes, I refuse to admit every.
Yeah,
sometimes
I will have to say, Pete,
right
there.
Pete, where are you going to go on that?
Hold on, Pete, for the sake of just honesty in the whole situation. That is one effect of very many refraction effects, which is quite common over water, but I have to agree, it is not in every one.
Over large distances, it's in every capture it is cathexis, and it's a major factor.
Perhaps over water, it's like 95%.
What boats are you using though when
the sun
when you
sets,
see the sail disappear? Do it with
it's a
the
false
cruise
horizon
ship.
you're getting to see.
It is a common effect, but I just forgive me for being so
Can you hear me, Nathan?
petty.
Light
Yes,
in
I
water,
can hear you.
light in water will produce reflections. So,
man, they've seen lights a lot further than you can see any boat going over the horizon. So I'm
But
sure that would.
What boat do you use, Dave? Have you ever seen a cruise ship disappear over the horizon? Not a little petty
how about
sailboat.
Lighthouse for 75 miles?
How about the cruise ship?
It disappears.
You got to talk about the farthest you've seen a light. You can't just talk about what you see 8 or 9 miles from you. You got to talk about seeing something from 60, 70 miles.
Yeah.
No,
you can't talk about that little short distance. You see things 10 times that far. So why would you think you're living on a ball?
Lighthouses would be useless on a ball, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they'd be useless on
You
a
have to
ball.
build them
That's right.
hundreds of meters high.
Knockout.
Hundreds of meters high, you'd have to build them. That's not the
Can light curve in the vacuum?
It's not
light.
Well, for me, light is an effect, right? And if the sun is in constant motion, then you might get this illusion of light being bent or bending in the atmosphere. But only because there's motion involved, and we're not describing what light is properly.
Actually, that was a really good point you brought up the other day, Dave, about our vacuum that we live in and planes going the opposite direction with the fuel. Did you ever get to the end of that debate?
What?
I'm not sure on that.
We don't live in a vacuum. I'm not sure where this is going or even starting.
No, I wanted to know how jet propulsion would work in a vacuum.
Right.
Jet propulsion.
That you only have you can. Yes,
I
you can only
find that
go.
really interesting. Yeah.
If you go into outer space, there's supposed to be zero friction. Isn't that what they say?
What have you studied about rocket thrust?
That was my question.
What have you done to prove the claims of rocket thrust?
Have you done any examples or experiments on your own, like everybody
does?
does?
Have you? Don't ask questions if you haven't done the same.
No, there's a point to this question. The point's dead on.
The point is you haven't done the things that you're going to ask of this person. You're going to say that this person has no legs to stand on.
No, it's about
to prove his claims.
Are you Australian, man?
Experiments to prove your claims. All you've done is watch YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So you would go on about flat earthers not being able to prove their claims because they haven't participated in the experiments, but you ball earthers haven't done anything but watch YouTube videos. So you're a hypocrite. You haven't done anything to prove your claims. You've let somebody else do it, and you watch a YouTube video to verify it.
Yep.
Come on, man. You're absolutely debunking yourself. You make yourselves look retarded. You,
too easy,
Lewis guy, the Grim V guy, all these ballers that come on here and are regulars, these are all fucking retarded, man. Sorry.
They're government agents.
Hey,
they work for the government, man.
No swearing. Come on.
This is a good run. We can all have a conversation.
You're doing really well. You're doing really well, Adam. Come on.
Man. Chill out, bro.
But that's how beliefs work. Beliefs work that way, where you continually you disregard your own observation and you're relying on everybody.
Adam, everybody. You know, I was trying to answer a question
your own
from
observation, and you're relying on somebody else's observation.
They work for the Office of Information Awareness people. This is who they are. This is what they do.
Yeah.
Okay. So why can't you stand on a skateboard, Adam, and take a heavy, dense mass like a bowling ball, a medicine ball, push it away from you as hard as you can, and feel yourself being in C, that you are being forced backwards?
Well, that'll actually depend on that'll depend on the wheels and the bearings that you have. If I had say
you can't eliminate all friction. So this
and not good bearing. So
Adam, bearings work against this.
Nothing would happen.
Hang on. What about if you were hanging? What about if you were in a harness, hanging from a branch?
The lower the friction, the better.
And you wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, hang on, Adam.
Wheels.
Often hear that
the
example.
less you'll see the effect.
What happens if you were hanging from a harness, right, from a branch of a tree, and you had the same bowling ball, and you threw that off? What would you expect to happen?
I would expect to be propelled backwards a little bit.
Right. To the same degree as if you're on the skateboard on the ground?
No, because if you're hanging in a harness, you need to be propelled upwards as well. You're going against gravity there. You got more, you know, or your weight or your density or whatever you freaks want to call it.
Freaks, yeah, freaks, buoyancy, density, whatever you.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that's stupid.
All right, you better call us super freaks over here.
So, and the thing is, what you need to realize is you people are going to claim that it's the air pressure, or the resistance, and wind resistance that is causing you to be pushed
What about all the other
backwards.
jobs, though?
Now, you can take an even larger, more surface area, but very lightweight object like a beach ball, do the same thing with it, yet with more resistance, more surface area, less mass, much less mass, and you're not going to be propelled very much at all.
Does the Earth wobble?
Just before you answer that, we've got
why
about
don't you address my answer?
We've got a little under 5 minutes left, just so you know.
Thanks.
Yeah, Nathan, just a quick question for you, Nathan.
So don't talk to me.
Hold on, sir, just a quick question.
He's
what am I doing?
over
Go on.
Say again,
Never
thanks.
mind.
What did you say?
What am I doing with my life? I have moments like this, and I ask myself.
Look into the Dolex. Look at that.
You're wobbling on a 25,000-mile ball with curve. That's what you're doing.
Just keep working on your game, man. You'll get there. You will be the guru you want to be if you just believe in yourself. These moments of doubt, don't let them get you down.
Once you get to flat Earth, the dodo awaits, and I literally mean that. And if you think that's a ridiculous notion, turn your Gleason's map so Australia's on the bottom, out pops the dodo. That's your starting point. Can I just say one more thing, and I'll shut up then? Ebbing asked earlier on, how do we know the shape of the Earth, or can it be known? I think it's already known, and they've told us as well. For me, you will find the shape of the Earth on the floor as a mosaic called the Oculus mosaic in the Chambers Street Heart tube station, which is below the WTC Center in New York, funnily enough, where 9/11 happened. And the shape of it is rugby ball shape, oval shape, elliptical shape. So I encourage anyone to just Google that and see where that pops up. And sorry, last thing.
Oh my God.
Last thing, it's a jigsaw piece. You'll find 5 or 6 pieces of the jigsaw there, and you need one other piece to fill it in. All right, so that's it. Thank you.
Is that fact or is that a belief?
But again, that would be to take on somebody else's projection or belief of what they've said. Only in our own observation can there be any certainty.
I agree.
Whenever you're taking on somebody else's, whether it's education or whatever it is, or science or whatever, once you take on somebody else's observation, what you're doing is you're giving yourself away. You're saying, I'm not capable of doing this. I need others to tell me what the shape of the Earth is. And then by quoting the others, it's just believing what's been said.
Yeah,
there's no actual direct experience.
It depends on the nature of this reality and experience we're having and what sort of sense we can make of it. So I absolutely agree. Beyond a few certain basic things like water's flat and we don't experience any movement, we cannot say anything more in our direct experience about the Earth. This is the point. But
yes, that's correct.
You don't.
That's correct. Unless we're quoting somebody else.
You assume.
And when we quote somebody else,
unless you've lived it, so you got to deal with your own common sense.
Right.
You believe it's flat.
Right, but there is a different picture in place, and Lewis proved that tonight. Lewis proved that tonight. He's one of the Harrimans, which are one of the wealthiest, most influential families on Earth. Right.
Everybody named Harriman is related to that family. Interesting.
Hey, shut up, Carv.
There are answers to be found.
But you blow me, little pecker sucking.
Metatron.
Oh my God.
So anyway, keep it dodo. Thanks a lot, guys.
Carv got whooped up on tonight.
Hail Megatron.
Hail Megatron.
Cathexis is my son. We are both 33 years old, man, and we believe in flow birth reality.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to say a massive, huge, enormous thank you, first and foremost, to the live audience for sharing the show and hitting that super like. And of course, a equally massive thank you to the panel for making this debate possible. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.